Bruce Arians with Sean McVay. In fact, Sean McVay, the year he was born in 1986, Arians was in his third year as the head coach at Temple. And here's the playoff picture in the NFC as it stands to the moment, with the Falcons losing to the Vikings earlier, Green Bay keeping their playoff hopes alive with a win, the Lions losing to Baltimore. You see the Rams, Seattle playing later, and the Rams trying to maintain that lead. They lost to the Seahawks earlier in the year, and they'll have them coming up at the LA Coliseum in a couple of games. Arizona won the toss, deferred, so Pharoh Cooper, who leads the NFL in kickoff returns and has a touchdown return, back to receive the opening kick, week 13, and here he goes. Fighting his way up across the 30-yard line. Good field position and a good start for this Ram offense that scores on 48% of their possessions. Only the New England Patriots are better, and one of the reasons they're the only team, Darryl, in the NFL to start the same offensive line in every game this season.
And there's a really intelligent group of skilled players, and that was one of the things that not only Sean McVay but Jared Goff wanted to make sure that we understood. Hey, we are ahead of the curve offensively right now, and that's because of the smart guys we have. They're talented physically, but they're also very smart intelligently. That allows us to grow quicker.
Robert Woods remains out with that shoulder injury at the receiver spot. And it looks like right away we have a challenge flag thrown from the Cardinals sideline. Not sure if Bruce Arians thought maybe the ball, but we'll get an explanation here.
Arizona has challenged the ruling on the field that the runner was down by contact prior to losing the ball. Arizona believes the ball was stripped prior to the runner going down. We'll review the play.
Ron Torbert, our referee, and we'll take a closer look because at first glance there was no clear indication that this ball was fumbled on the opening kickoff.
And do we have a clear recovery? That will be the other part of this equation. And nothing down. He's down right there.
And if you're going to review it, there has to be something clear and obvious to overturn it.
Definitely got it secured as he's moving up the field. Again, we're not really getting that shot. It looks like he has control when he's on the ground, and it's actually ripped from him at the bottom of the pile. Budda Baker appears to have the ball right there.
Bruce Arians 2 out of 4 in challenges for the season in his career, hitting at 45%. Opening kickoff ruled no fumble, challenged by the Cardinals on the Pharoh Cooper return. And here's what Torbert is looking at, along with Alberto Riveron and his associates in the New York office where they make the decision. We have Dean Blandino, who did this last year for the league, our rules analyst, watching with us. Dean, do you see anything?
No, I haven't seen anything. You're looking for two things here. You're looking for whether it's a fumble, and then you're also looking for a clear recovery by the kicking team. And I haven't seen an angle that shows me either. You're looking at this shot here. It looks like he's going to land on the left side. Maybe it's the elbow, the shoulder that hits first. But you have to be able to see where the football is at that point, and we just can't do that. To me, the call on the field is going to stand.
And you were one of the ones who used the term clear and obvious if you're going to try to overturn anything.
Correct. It has to be clear and obvious. You want to overturn the call on the field, it has to jump out. And that's what you're looking for, that consistency in the decision-making process. And again, looking at these angles, there just doesn't seem to be anything that jumps out that says this is a fumble.
Yeah, and any reason why this is taking so long, Dean?
Again, they could be just looking through the different angles that we're giving them, trying to find the football.
Here's the call.
They have 60 seconds. Here's the call.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands as called. It's Los Angeles' ball, 1st and 10. Arizona will be charged with their first timeout of the half.
Thank you very much, Dean, for your help. And an early challenge costs the Cardinals a timeout and risk future challenges, or at least getting extra challenges. Rams from the 31 after a slight delay. Jared Goff has not thrown an interception in the first half this year. 18 touchdown passes for the season, just 5 interceptions. The 23-year-old second-year quarterback gives to Todd Gurley, who has room. Gurley gets a first down across the 41-yard line of the Rams.
We talk about Jared Goff and this wide receiver group all the time, but really, you mentioned that offensive line all the same to start every game this season. And Todd Gurley, right now the Rams have more rushing yards this season than they had all of last season when they were the second to worst rushing team. So getting that run game back on track allows the play action pass to become a huge weapon.
Gurley averaging over 4 yards a carry, picked up 11 there. Goff, time to throw, wide open. It's Cooper Kupp, the rookie. And he's got a first down inside the 35 of Arizona. Cooper Kupp leads all rookies in receiving yards. And Darrell, they go to the line, and this is part of the up-tempo offense with McVay sending in the plays to Jared Goff. They get to the line in a hurry, but not necessarily snapping it. Todd Gurley slips a tackle, spins around and loses yardage. And tremendous effort getting his arm out was Josh Bynes, who led the team in tackles last week, and he's playing for the Cardinals' leading tackler, Deone Buchanan.
Well, this is going to be critical for this defense to repeat what they just did on that first down. You've got to put the Rams offense up against the chains on second down. Get them into some second and long situations. So first down is going to be a big battle all afternoon for that Arizona Cardinal defense.
Loss of 3 after the pass play to Kupp, picked up 25.
And again, this is that intelligence we talk about. You know, a group that's really kind of in their first year together, but really have pressed this playbook with the intelligence in their preparation.
Play clock down to 0. Here comes a flag. Looks like they did not snap it in time. Goff knocked to the turf.
Before the ball was snapped, delay of game by the offense, 5-yard penalty. It's still second down.
Give an assist to the noise here in the stadium.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons for the up-tempo offense. You know, you sit back in that huddle as an offense when you're playing away. As you break that huddle and come to the line, that crowd is going to get into the game and kind of ramp up their noise like you're going to hear right here as they break the huddle. So what Sean McVay likes his offense to do on the road, let's change that tempo. Let's get up in different elements to kind of confuse the crowd on when to peak their noise.
Here they go again on 2nd and 18. The Rams have had success on the road this year by scoring early, as you saw moments ago on that graphic. Time for Goff. Tipped at the line of scrimmage and almost intercepted by Carlos Dansby. The veteran had a shot at it.
And here we talked about margin for error at the top of this. Here's a great example of it, right? Carlos Dansby has an opportunity for an interception on this play. And you've got to take advantage when you've had the injury bug hit you as hard as it has hit the Cardinals. When you have a chance to make a play like that, you got to finish it.
Olsen Pierre starting for Corey Peters up front. He deflected that pass, and now 3rd and 18. Goff has time, dumps it off short. Josh Reynolds goes nowhere, and it's 4th down. The roof closed here in Arizona. The rookie Hassan Reddick making the tackle, and that helps to reverberate some of the noise from this active crowd.
It's a tough place to play. You know, you hear about venues across the NFL, and you've got up in Seattle and in Kansas City as some of the ones that jump out that everybody talks about. This is a tough place to play as well.
Greg Zuerlein, who leads the NFL in scoring. He's only missed 2 kicks. Going to try from 56 yards away. The kick, it's up there. It's out there. It's good from 56 yards. His 33rd field goal of the season. Even though the drive stalls, the Rams on their opening possession score again. Greg Zuerlein, 33rd field goal this season. That's an NFL record for the first 12 games of a season, and we're just getting started in this game.
That's a huge weapon. When you've got a kicker that is that good from that distance, you can play that conservative in those situations where the Rams were. You don't have to push it down the field to try and get a better shot at a field goal when you got a guy with Greg Zuerlein's distance.
Greg Beleg showing off there. touchback. So out to the 25-yard line comes this Cardinal offense. We talked about the Ram offensive line, how healthy. It's been the opposite for this group, Darryl. The only member of the Cardinals offensive line who's played the same position all year is center A.Q. Shipley.
And that's a huge impact on your offense. We've seen it league-wide. When you have injuries and instability in that starting five group, it really impacts your rushing game. It impacts your pass protection. It just kind of sabotages your offense.
Blaine Gabbert coming in after the injuries to Carson Palmer and Drew Stanton. Led the team to a win last week. Quick on his feet, and here he is rolling and throwing. Middle of the field and intercepted. LaMarcus Joyner has the pick for the Rams. Back into Arizona territory with blockers in front of him. Joyner returns inside the 25 of the Cardinals. Barely had a moment to give you the Ram defense, and they come up with a takeaway.
Well, I like the fact that you're trying to be an aggressive offense and push the ball down the field, but you've also got to be smart. And in this situation, Blaine Gabbert is on the move. It doesn't really look all that clean, and LaMarcus Joyner is able to kind of read that route and get back underneath to make that interception. I like the fact that Blaine was trying to throw it to a spot, have his guy run underneath that, and try to make a big play down the field. But if it's not there, you can't force it.
Third interception this season for Joyner. And a 40-plus yard return. Goff, Gurley at the 20-21 yard line binds with another tackle for this Cardinal defense.
And here's the big problem for Arizona right now. Nobody has more points off the turnovers than this Ram team. So not only do they take it away from you, but when they do, they make you pay for it.
And I mentioned turnaround story. The Rams are averaging 16 points more a game this year than last year. It's the greatest points turnaround in 60 years in the NFL. Could wind up being the best ever by the time the regular season winds down. After a 3-yard pickup. Todd Gurley dragged down at the 20-yard line. It's Josh Bynes again. And again with Deone Bucannon out injured on this Arizona defense. Last week in Jacksonville. Good job. He's been active today.
You know what? He's had an opportunity to jump in for Deone Bucannon on a couple of starts this year. Every time he's on the field, even if he's not in there, as a starter for somebody else, when he gets his opportunity, he's really performed for defensive coordinator James Bettcher.
Needs 7 yards. Catch for the first down is Cooper Kupp at the 10-yard line. The outstanding third-round draft pick from Eastern Washington.
Now, how fun was it to sit down and have a conversation with Cooper Kupp yesterday? A young guy, wise beyond his years already in the NFL, and he credits a lot of it to the wide receiver group with the Rams. There was no jealousy. There's no egos in there. They're helping him out. They know how important it is for everybody to function well as that group.
Quick snap. At the 5, Gerald Everett, another one of the rookies contributing. The Rams, part of their success is they hit on free agents with guys like Andrew Whitworth and John Sullivan and Robert Woods, and then their draft picks have all come up big, whether it's been Everett or Cooper Kupp. Josh Reynolds getting more playing time. John Johnson starting on defense in the secondary. Second and goal for Goff. Gets rid of it. In the area of Josh Reynolds.
This is where I've really seen the growth of Jared Goff this season. Now we talked about how good that offensive line has been for him. He has trust in those guys up front, so he feels very comfortable in the pocket, but then his decision making too. That's well covered, and you're drifting back. There was an opportunity for you to climb up in that pocket to survey the field. You had to kind of drift out the back. Just throw it away. Live to play another down.
Patrick Peterson has been traveling with, assigned to cover Sammy Watkins, at least earlier this game. That's the way it was in their earlier meeting this year when the Rams won back in October over in London. Gurley as a receiver to the top of your screen on 3rd and goal. And we have a timeout here. Looks like the Rams called it.
Prior to the snap, Los Angeles calls its first charge timeout of the half.
Rams use a timeout. Now this message from Outback. After the Rams timeout, 3rd and goal. Gurley in the backfield with Jared Goff. 3 receivers. Watkins, Kupp, Reynolds. Bottom part of your screen. Goff. Catch made. Falling at the 1 was Reynolds. Couldn't quite keep his balance to get into the end zone. And now the Rams with a 4th and goal.
Yeah, they're going for it. As aggressive as Sean McVay has been.
He was aggressive.
He's not even thinking about it.
Last week when they knocked off the Saints at the Coliseum late.
I love it. I mean, I think the guys enjoy it. They buy into it. I mean, this whole staff, they're aggressive. You know, they trust their players to be able to execute in situations just like this.
Goff, not known to run, has 1 rushing touchdown. Todd Gurley has scored 11 touchdowns this year, tops in the league. On 4th and goal, throw to the end zone, catch made, touchdown Rams, Gerald Everett. 19th touchdown pass of the year for Jared Goff. To the 2nd round pick from South Alabama, Gerald Everett.
You know, let's go back and think about that Redskin team that Sean McVay was a part of. This is your Jordan Reed right here, a big-bodied tight end who's more of a receiver. You see the release. He has Budda Baker beat to the inside right away. And if that wasn't there, you saw the size mismatch. You know, he's going to allow Jared Goff to have the opportunity to go up high and get an elevated throw.
2nd touchdown catch in his career. And for the extra point, Zerline to make it a 10-0 Rams lead. And the extra point is off the mark. He had been 33 of 33, but missed that extra point. The Joyner takeaway set up the touchdown toss. Rams with a 9-0 lead here in Arizona. The Joyner interception set up the offense, and they put it in the end zone.
Yeah, that's impressive right there. We talked about the Rams being the best in the NFL. Most points off takeaways so far this season.
And for Zerline, his last miss on an extra point, 2015. He had hit 58 straight. That was just him kind of off the mark. Here he's back on it, kicking off, and another touchback to bring the Cardinal offense and Blaine Gabbert out for the 2nd time today. Ram defense led by the veteran Wade Phillips at age 70, working against Gabbert, who's got a lot of mobility. And Gabbert actually multi-touchdown passes in back-to-back games, only the 2nd time in his career. And his coach Bruce Arians said, I know he was 3rd string, but I always just thought of him as a starter in waiting, and he's made the most of the opportunity, at least in the win last week. Kerwin Williams on the carry with Adrian Peterson inactive. And let's get a game break with Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Chris. We head to New Orleans. Panthers down 7-0 early, but they respond. Jonathan Stewart responds with that 2-yard score. Panthers looking for their 5th straight win. Winner of this game will have sole possession of the top of the NFC South. Game tied up 7-7.
Thanks, Carissa. NFC West face-off here. Seahawks playing the Eagles later. Watching the Rams closely. Fitzgerald with the catch. Tackled right away. And when you say his name, you talk about his consecutive string, which goes all the way back to his rookie year of games that he's played with a catch. And a chance to move up in this game to 4th on the all-time receiving yards list in the history of the NFL, as you look at those who head the list all the way up to the top with Jerry Rice. DJ Foster in at running back on 3rd and 6. Pressure coming, and Gabbert slips out of it. He's going to run and slide before the 1st down marker.
Yeah, when you slide, you're going to get marked. Where you initiate the slide, you don't get anything extra. You would have had to have gone head first, and then you get until you're touched down, by the defender, and he gave himself up before that first down. And listen, I know you're in a situation where you've been hit by the injury bug and things like that, but he's athletic enough. He's got enough wiggle. Try a move, try to put something on and get to the sideline.
3 and out. Andy Lee with the punt. Cooper from the 20 of the Rams. And Pharaoh Cooper slips a tackle, gets up across the 35-yard line. Once again, terrific field position for the Rams. Another look at last year's #1 overall draft pick, Jared Goff. Along with Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers, you're watching America's West Coast game of the week here from Arizona with the Rams and the Cardinals. And Gabbard going over things, trailing 9-0. It's been a rough start for the Cardinal quarterback. Not for Jared Goff. He's 7 out of 9 with a touchdown already. And Goff to throw for Sammy Watkins near midfield, and he has a first down catch.
Just a lot of things for the defense to think about. You got your jet motion going across, and here's that matchup. Sammy Watkins, Patrick Peterson. Good drive on the ball by Patrick Peterson, but Sammy Watkins good in and out of the break to create the separation.
Pickup of 13. They go to the line without the huddle. And then Decipher. Tavon Austin in motion. And here comes a flag. A few flags.
Ball start. Offense. Number 16. 5-yard penalty. First down.
All right, Chris, I'm from the old school.
Yes.
And sometimes I think we spend too much time at the line of scrimmage trying to find that perfect play. These guys are talented enough. Their staff is smart enough. They prepare them well enough. Sometimes let's just get up to the ball and let's see what they can do against our offense.
Sometimes you out-disguise yourself and use a timeout earlier. Now 1st and 15. Blitz coming on Goff. Backpedals, throws, and turns. It's out of bounds in the neighborhood of Cooper Kupp, but Goff never really had a chance.
Yeah, not just trying to sort everything out up front, but actually a lot of pressure coming. You're overloading. You got 2 coming in from the top of the screen. You got Chandler Jones down at the bottom. That's going to be a good battle all day against Andrew Whitworth. And Chandler Jones is one of those guys. He's a long guy, lean guy, great with his hands. And I think that we've talked about Patrick Peterson, Sammy Watkins on the outside. You go back inside, Andrew Whitworth, Chandler Jones is going to be a fun one to watch as well. Here they are, right here.
Jones 12 sacks, having a Pro Bowl year for the Cardinals on 2nd and 15. Pressure again. Goff throws, open, first down catch. 35.5-yard line. It's Cooper Kupp again. The sure-handed rookie. Adding to his total, already his 3rd catch of this game.
And that's the greatness of this offense. There's so many weapons. We're going to take Sammy Watkins away. We're putting Patrick Peterson on him. All right. Well, we got Cooper Kupp, and guess what? We've got Josh Reynolds, a young guy that's stepping up. We've got Tavon Austin. We got other guys. We got Gurley. That's fine. We're good.
A pickup of 20 yards. Rams making it look easy. That's Austin again in motion. Goff throws. Sideline for Austin. And incomplete. I mentioned the turnaround from last year to this year. Essentially, 2nd year for Goff in the system, but the 1st year for Sean McVay, who did such a terrific job as the offensive play caller for Jay Gruden in Washington the previous couple of seasons. And now the Rams head coach. Look at those are staggering numbers.
Yeah, but it's throughout the staff. It's not just Sean McVay, and he'll be the first guy to tell you. Matt LaFleur, an offensive coordinator, spent time with Matt Ryan down in Atlanta. Greg Olson, the quarterback's coach. Eric Cromer, offensive line coach. He's got some offensive coordinator responsibilities in his background. This is a very, very good staff.
Goff gets rid of that. There's a flag in the secondary inside the 25-yard line. Cardinals may have been holding in the secondary.
Holding. Defense, number 21. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
The call on six-time Pro Bowler Patrick Peterson.
Down at the bottom of your screen, matched up against Sammy Watkins, and gets on the inside and yeah, got his hands on him, and then I think he stumbled a little bit, so they both go down together. So
fresh set of downs from the 30. Goff with the interception, leaping to get it. Rodney Gunter make that Kareem Martin. Kareem Martin from his linebacker position was in the best position to pick it off. For Jared Goff, first half interception that he has thrown this season, and Kareem Martin his second career pick. Cardinals with an opportunity and excellent field position from their own 40. DJ Foster maybe a yard. Aaron Donald making the tackle.
You know, sometimes you just got to chalk one up for the defense. This is just a really good play by Kareem Martin. Reads the eyes of the quarterback. He's not going to get there in the pass rush, and then a little bit of athleticism out there. And I'm not going to fault Jared Goff on that. That's just a great play by Kareem Martin. Sometimes the defense wins the snap.
Martin at 6'6", and you saw how high he got and how he extended his arms. Goff thought he could loft it over him. And now the takeaways are even at 1 each. Gabbard, incomplete. Ricky Seals-Jones, the target.
Yeah, this can be fun to watch this today with Ricky Seals-Jones and Blaine Gabbert. Now, obviously, when Blaine was running the scout team, they got a lot of reps together, 7, 8, 9 weeks working together, building that chemistry. He also has that with Chad Williams. So he's in the process of understanding and building that chemistry with Larry Fitzgerald, with Jerron Brown, with J.J. Nelson. But some of those guys that were with Blaine Gabbert down on that scout team, he's very comfortable with. The Rams got to watch 86. He can be a presence outside.
DJ Foster in the backfield on 3rd and 9 for Gabbert. Rams bring extra pressure that's picked up, and that's intercepted at the 40-yard line. Alec Ogletree is taking it the other way for a touchdown, Los Angeles Rams.
Again, this is just another really athletic play by Alec Ogletree. We've seen the scrambling ability of Blaine Gabbert. Wayne Phillips told us, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, from time to time, you know, we're going to mirror him. We're going to watch him. You know, we know there's not going to be a lot of called runs, but what there will be is there will be opportunities for him to scramble. We want to make sure that we kind of have that covered. So in that situation, I think that Alec Ogletree is just kind of mirroring Blaine Gabbert as a spy and then makes the pick.
Boy, this Wade Phillips defense, they've gotten better every week. Setting up points, producing points. Zerline with the extra point on the 40-yard interception return from Ogletree.
So Alec Ogletree walks up into the line. Now you're going to get involved in the count too, but I think really what he's doing there is he's just going to spy a little bit, keep an eye on Gabbert, and then he sees the check down route there, and he just kind of jumps up, makes the pick. Now you had all the offensive players to the left side, so when Alec Ogletree came out, there was nobody there from Arizona to stop him.
His first interception of this season for Gabbert, and this is his 3rd start. He had only thrown 3 picks for the year. He's thrown 2 in this game. And Ogletree's 6th career interception, the 2nd one that he's taken in for a touchdown. And you mentioned at the start of the broadcast, Darryl, see how mature this Ram team is handling success, the second youngest team in the league. Well, they haven't come in here and sleepwalk through anything. No, and sometimes I think people don't understand that is challenging, especially for a young team. Overcoming adversity, that's the way a lot of these guys are wired naturally. But handling success, especially when you're young, in such a dramatic turnaround. You've talked about how dramatic this turnaround is. You know, that even adds to
handling this success and keeping a sense of humility about you.
So now if you're Blaine Gabbert, you're frustrated. Drew Stanton is your backup quarterback, and you're in a hole 16-0 at home with your playoff hopes fading before your very eyes.
Well, you were aggressive on the first play, the first interception, that scheme, and it's a bad throw by Blaine Gabbert. It's a good play by LaMarcus Joyner. Now we've kind of traded really good athletic plays, one by Kareem Martin, one by Alec Ogletree. So Bruce Arians right now, just get Blaine Gabbert back into a little bit of a rhythm. This has been a real spotty start for him, very inconsistent, haven't been able to kind of get into any type of rhythm offensively.
Cardinals have yet to get a first down. Turn it over twice. Gabbert trying to escape. There's a flag down, and he goes down at the 21. Ethan Westbrook's making the play on Blaine Gabbert.
Ethan Westbrook's. Penalty marker.
Holding. Offense. Number 68. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is second down.
Didn't get a chance to show you Wade Phillips' defense at age 70. He was part of the deal when Sean McVay, who got to name his own staff, hired as the head coach. He came into the meeting and said, Wade Phillips is with me. He's my defensive coordinator, and it's been a defense that's gotten better every week.
Yeah, because he's starting to understand what his personnel does, and everybody talks about a transition from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and Wade Phillips comes in. What do you do best? Where can I put you in position to do that?
Penalty decline, catch underneath. Foster, and it's going to be third down again. Ogletree very active for this Ram defense. Connor Barwin is out. He had that surgery on the broken forearm, but Aaron Donald, terrific up front. Michael Brockers, he's used, and moving John Johnson, the rookie, the third-round pick from Boston College, into the secondary. And they're a top 10 defense from a 4-3 to a 3-4. The players understanding their role and responding to Wade Phillips.
Lefty, 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 lefty. Go.
Third and 11. First down, Cardinals. Up across the 45 is Ricky Seals-Jones. 8th catch of the season for the rookie from Texas A&M.
That's a nice shot by Blaine Gabbert in the pocket, and he doesn't have that trust that Jared Goff has in his offensive line. There's been so many changes, but on that play he did, and it's a good job by Ricky Seals-Jones getting down the field, just enough yardage for that first down, but there he is hanging in the pocket. He knows he's going to take a shot.
Texas A&M, the same college that our director, Brian Lilly, attended. That's Brian Lilly. Lilly. Gain of 17 on first down. It's Williams, and he gets up to about the 44-yard line. If you tuned in a little bit late, those players that are inactive, and Adrian Peterson, who's sitting on 99 career rushing touchdowns, had a tough neck injury. It was a game-time decision, but he is inactive, and the Rams are without their leading receiver, Robert Woods, at least their leading receiver coming into the game among those inactive.
And Kerwin Williams, who's going to get some snaps there at the running back position with DJ Foster, Elijah Penny, got some bad ribs too. So a little bit of a warrior out there with Adrian Peterson not being able to suit up today.
It's Williams. And a tough run to the 48-yard line to bring an end to the opening quarter. One that saw 3 total interceptions, 2 by the Rams. They were able to produce points. Ogletree with an interception return for a touchdown. Goff with a touchdown pass. And after one, the Rams, who lead the West, lead here in Arizona. With Laura Oakman out on the field, Daryl Johnston, Chris Meyer, start of the second quarter. Those are the numbers. Most important, of course, the points for the Rams. Off to a fast start here on the road, trying to get their 9th victory of the season. DJ Foster, second-year running back from Arizona State, in the backfield for Gabbert. And on third down, a little high and incomplete for Foster, and the punting unit will come out for Arizona.
Mark Barron playing in that inside linebacker position, very similar to what Arizona does with Dayon Buchanan in there. And it makes it hard in situations like that. You think you're going to get a running back on a linebacker, and it's really a running back with a safety build and coverage skills.
Andy Lee to punt. Pharaoh Cooper watches it bounce and roll, and it hit the pylon. So that would make it a touchback, and he caught a break there. That almost went out of bounds, because Pharaoh Cooper wasn't sure whether he should grab it or let it go.
It is out of bounds in the end zone. The result of the play is a touchback. First down.
As soon as it hits the pylon, obviously it's a touchback. If it was an inch or two in front of that, the Rams would have been starting inside their own 1 yard line. Every weekday afternoon, you get opinion that cuts through the hype. Catch Speak for Yourself with Jason Whitlock and Colin Cowherd, weekdays at 5 Eastern on FS1. Goff 9 out of 14, a touchdown and an interception. Todd Gurley, who is 45% of this Ram offense, gets the carry and works his way up to the 24.
And I think that that's just a big element that's a part of this offense, and we haven't really focused on it a lot. You know, Todd Gurley's back to his rookie year form, had a tough year last year, but this season with Sean McVay coming in and putting this system in, you get caught up looking at the outside, the wide receivers, the quarterback, and everything like that. But to be able to have a guy like Todd Gurley to be able to hand that ball off, that's great comfort for Jared Goff.
Yeah, his season average, he's averaging 18 carries a game, but the number for Gurley, it's gone down a little bit lately. Some of that's matchups. They want to make sure he's rested and fresh for the fourth quarter and the stretch run of the season, where the Rams hope to be in the playoffs. They're in good position, as that was a miscommunication. Incomplete for Josh Reynolds. Laura?
You know who's seen too much of Todd Gurley? Arizona's defense. The last time these two teams met, the Rams ran the ball 39 times. This week, defensive coordinator James Betcher showed his defense every single one of them. Betcher said we didn't talk schemes this week. We talked energy, physicality, and passion. I showed them the way, how we look when we play with all that. When a team rushes for 196 yards on you, it's personal. They are trying hard right now today to stop that run.
That's a bit of a grudge match after that blanking over in London. Now 3rd down and 6. Thanks, Laura. Goff deep for Watkins and incomplete. Let's get a game break and check in with Carissa Thompson again.
Thanks, Chris. We had to Oakland. Big story this week, of course, no Eli Manning starting for the first time since 2004. Orleans Darkloff finishes off a 74-yard drive to tie this one up, 7-7. Chris, Dale, and more.
Thank you, Geno Smith. Wonder how many times you'll see shots of Eli Manning over on the sideline looking on throughout the course of that game, as you see where the Eagles are in the NFC East and in the big NFC playoff picture. That's the next opponent for this Ram team. Britton Golden at the 33-yard line. And the Cardinals need a spark on offense. Where would you turn? How about number 11 for Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald? Ram defense working on a shutout here early in the second quarter. Ogletree, who had that interception return for a touchdown, the medical staff checked on his left elbow. He's already got a wrap on each one of those elbows. Appears to be okay. First down Cardinals. Gabbert is going to keep. He's got quick feet, sliding just short of the 40-yard line. Gabbert out of college in the combine. If you go back, he ran a 4.61 in the 40. One of the fastest quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of just pure foot speed.
Yeah, but he's not going to be a running quarterback. He's not going to be one of the guys that you're going to want to have a lot of zone read and called quarterback powers. But that's where that athleticism comes into play, especially when your offensive line is working through some injuries and stuff. He's able to extend plays and create things that weren't there.
Pickup of 5. Fitzgerald in motion. Kerwin Williams, and he's got a first down for the Cardinals, just short of the 45-yard line.
Yeah, Larry does a lot of the dirty work here. And, we showed you the numbers. He's 5th all-time, has a chance to get up to 4th all-time in receiving yardage. But it's just everything he does. He's a complete guy. He's coming across in motion. Watch him right now. He's going to go up. This is 1 block away from going the distance. Goes up, digs out the corner right there for Kerwin Williams.
And gets the Cardinals a first down.
Let's go. Alert, alert! Alert, alert! Let's go.
Kerwin Williams, his 5th carry of the game, and inside the 45 of the Rams. Williams playing with bruised ribs. And, we talk about a 3rd-string quarterback. He's really a 3rd-string running back pressed into duty because David Johnson out early in the year and then Adrian Peterson out today.
Yeah, but I think you talk to Bruce Arians, he loves him. He's just such a tough guy. And, he's got some sore ribs out there that he hurt last time out. But because of the other injuries, especially to Adrian Peterson, he has to go out there and carry most of the load out there. And it could be a good matchup today with his quickness inside against the Rams defense.
He had 9 carries in week 2. That's the most. There he goes again. Another first down. But a 6th carry of this game. He hadn't touched the ball more than 4 times in a game. And go back even to that game in London with the Rams when he caught a couple of passes.
I know that Bruce Arians loves to throw the football. We know the no risk it, no biscuit theory that he plays this game by, aggressive down the field. But this is a defense that has struggled to stop the run. The 2nd most explosive runs during the course of the season, 2nd only to the Chargers.
And you saw Adrian Peterson and then David Johnson, the 2 running backs that are out injured for this Cardinal team, part of the 5-6 record. Gabbard on the move. Pass caught by Fitzgerald inside the 30 to flag down back in the secondary.
Brought down by Dwayne Johnson.
Rams secondary may have been holding here.
Penalty marker down.
Before the pass was thrown, holding. Defense, number 21. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Now, one of the things you like to do at the beginning of the game, whether it's defensive holding, pass interference, what are the officials using as their parameters? And here's what they're going to do for holding. Not a lot here. Gets beat on the release, a little bit of tug there to reset himself. But so now everybody has to know that they are going to be calling this pretty close with the defensive holding in the secondary.
Certainly the way that looked. The Cardinals came in with the worst ground game in the NFL, averaging 73 yards a game. They already have 50. And Kerwin Williams again has room to run again. Joyner making the tackle, or he would have got more. All the injuries with this Cardinal team from David Johnson in week 1 went out. Of course, Carson Palmer hurt against the Rams when they were over in London, and Adrian Peterson came on to try and save the day, but left tackles, left guards, and offensive line shaken up. That's why Gabbard actually with his mobility helps in this situation. And Kerwin Williams is helping. Averaging 7 yards a carry. Gets a first down. Gets to the 10-yard line of the Rams.
Right now, getting into that mentality, and I love play callers that do this. All right, you're having trouble stopping this, so guess what? You're going to keep seeing this until you figure it out defensively. Right now, the Arizona Cardinals have found something running the football to their left side, and Wade Phillips, who's one of the best adjusters during the course of the game, has got to get a fix for this run game of the Arizona Cardinals.
Bruce Arians' team in the red zone. You see where they rank. Elijah Penny comes in. Backup running back from Idaho, signed as a free agent. On 1st and goal, Fitzgerald inside the 5.
Don't get away from your run game, because that's what you have to do to be a good red zone team. You've got to be able to run the ball down here. It's very hard to throw the football down here. The advantage definitely goes to the defense. Not as much real estate to defend. Same amount of players. Everything gets a little bit crowded down here.
Maybe you look for the tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones, who coming in had only 7 catches and 3 were good for touchdowns. He has 1 catch today for 17 yards. Penny remains the back. Penny straight ahead to the goal line, and that's it.
Yeah, I think he was down before he stretched out. I think he stretched out a little bit late, and he was already down. Straight up the middle on the call, and see if he goes down. Right, there's his knee. Yeah, so he's down before he gets that stretched out across.
Evan Boehm has come in. He's a backup guard. He's come in as an extra lineman here on 3rd and goal.
And he's playing fullback.
And Penny is the running back. Penny the carry and in for a Cardinal touchdown.
That's a nice job by the Arizona Cardinals. They found something in that drive running the football with Kerwin Williams off to the left, and they stayed with it. Mixed in a couple of passes, but yeah, you know, sometimes we see that extra lineman brought in and he plays the tight end position or wing position. Cardinals put Evan Boehm at fullback, and Elijah Penny gets right in behind him.
And Penny with his first touchdown of this season. He was on the practice squad all of last year, undrafted from Idaho. Played in each of the first 11 games, but didn't have an offensive touch since the first week of October, and that was against the 49ers.
It's a nice job by Evan Boehm. It's not easy because it's completely different because you're blocking from a distance. As an offensive lineman, you've got that guy about 6 inches away from you there. He's got to run in and find his assignment and dig him out. Not bad for a makeshift fullback.
Reviewed, confirmed, twisting and turning. Kind of tall for a running back at 6'2", but he made that length count when he crossed the goal line. And the Cardinals, who average 9 points more at home than on the road, are on the board here with the extra point. Now a 16-7 game, just over 7.5 before the half, as Penny gets the Cards on the board. First career touchdown for Elijah Penny. Penny counts a 67-yard drive, and most of that on the ground for Kerwin Williams to set up the first score of the game for Arizona.
No Adrian Peterson. It's been running back by committee. That would be a loss if that's Alec Ogletree walking into the locker room, their inside linebacker. They were going more to the left side. They weren't going directly at Alec Ogletree, but
botched, picked up. Farrell Cooper has to bring it out since he came out and lost the handle on it. And a good special teams play for the Cardinals. Rams will start in the hole every weekday afternoon. Get opinion that cuts through the hype. Speak for yourself with Jason Whitlock and Colin Cowherd, 5 Eastern on FS1. We'll keep an eye on Ogletree, who reported, as Laura was telling us, they were working on his left elbow earlier. Sean McVay calling in the plays to Jared Goff from the Ram 14-yard line. Tavon Austin slips as he got across the 16-yard line. Well, an opportunity for the Cardinal defense to kind of pin the Rams in here and get good field position.
That little bit of complimentary football. Their offense did a nice drive, had a sustained drive, give them an opportunity to rest on the sideline. Now they got to come out. James Betcher's group needs to come out here and get a quick stop. It's a game of momentum shifts during the course of the 4 quarters here today. Right now it's teetering at going back to Arizona. Can their defense seal the deal here on this drive?
Second and 7 for Goff. Falling, throwing, completing. Tyler Higbee, starting tight end, short of the first down. You saw the yellow marker there indicating how far they have to go. And Goff will line them up without a huddle. Higbee goes out. Gerald Everett in. Tight end lines up at the bottom of the screen with Gurley in the backfield. Blitz. Goff throws one for Everett, who couldn't quite bring it in. He had a couple of shots at it. Buda Baker, the rookie on the coverage. It was rookie on rookie.
Almost makes a great catch on the sideline. Buda Baker's really come on for the Arizona Cardinals. This was fun to watch. Coming out of that little wing spot as the tight end. A little bit of, not even a wheel route, just kind of a straight release and then out down the sideline. Almost a real nice athletic catch.
So the Cardinal defense does force the Rams into a punt. Johnny Hecker could be headed to another Pro Bowl. Wow, high booming kick. All the way inside the 20, Patrick Peterson. And steps out of bounds. He got up near the 30-yard line. They've been playing each other a long time, the Cardinals and the Rams. A glance from the past to the present. And presently, Arizona trails, but has the football. Alec Ogletree out of the lineup for the Rams at the moment, so Bryce Hager is in at that spot. Ogletree with an interception return for a touchdown, checking his elbow. Kerwin Williams taking over. There he goes. He's in Ram territory inside the 45-yard line, averaging over 7 yards a carry.
Just keep it going. Just keep challenging that left side. I mean, there's nothing fancy about this. I mean, we're just kind of rolling in. We're getting up to that second level. One of the things that Arizona's offensive line has struggled with in this running game is getting guys up to the second level so that running back has a clear lane. They've been doing that consistently on the last 2 drives.
So the Rams are missing Connor Barwin and Ogletree, 2 of their linebackers in the 3-4 set. That was a 25-yard run by Kerwin Williams. Why not give it to him again?
And this is how they got everything started on that last drive. Again, going to that left side. And not the big explosive run like you had on the first one here, just kind of chipping away at it. A lot of, a 14, a 6, a 7. That's consistency in the running game. That's an excellent job by the offensive line on the left side. Jared Veldheer, Alex Boone, A.Q. Shipley doing a nice job over there right now.
Yeah, look, they're nearing, I said they average 73 on the ground. That's the lowest in the NFL. They have nearly 100 rushing today. Gabbard. And incomplete. Looked like Ricky Seals-Jones fell down on his own. That's why there is no flag. LaMarcus Joyner was back there on the coverage. Let's check in with Laura.
Chris, you said there's no Barwin, there's no Alec Ogletree. That doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. Ogletree, as we saw, walked into the locker room. He still remains there. Athletic trainers continued to look at that left elbow as he walked out, just kept shaking his head to all of his teammates. His return officially is questionable.
Thank you very much, Laura. And he's the guy for Wade Phillips, very active, who could spy the quarterback. He saw his interception. So Hager on the spot. 3rd year from Baylor. For J.J. Nelson. There's a flag, and he still caught the pass. Kayvon Webster interfered with him, but J.J. Nelson, who's had some drops lately, made a sure grab there.
I just really like the confidence with Blaine Gabbert in this situation right now, because this is covered, and this is one of the areas that I think you'll see him grow.
Pass interference. Defense, number 21. That penalty is declined. We go to the play for the first down.
Now you get in the no risk it, no biscuit theory. You've got to take some shots down the field and trust your guys to go up and make some plays, and that's exactly what Blaine Gabbert did right there. That's a great job by J.J. Nelson finishing that catch.
Nelson, one of the receivers after the Houston game when the Cardinals lost. I mean, other than Fitzgerald, Bruce Arians kind of ripped into the group, saying you got to not only hang on to the football, but help your quarterback out. Well, he did there. A gain of 26 yards, all the way down to the Rams 16. The Cardinals are clicking on offense. Kerwin Williams Trying to get outside and dragged down at the 15-yard line. Tremaine Johnson, the tackle. Let's get another game break with Carissa.
Hey, Chris, we head to New Orleans. Saints already up 14-7 in the second when Drew Brees finds Michael Thomas. Fancy footwork there for the 10-yard score. Thomas's first since week 4. Saints up 21-7. Chris, Carroll, and more.
Thank you very much. A clash in the NFC South. Of course, the Rams beat New Orleans last Sunday at the Coliseum in a meeting of division leaders. All the division leaders, the NFC, were not in the playoffs last year. Currently, and that's where the Rams are. Gabbert. Touchdown, Larry Fitzgerald! Fifth touchdown of the season for Larry Fitzgerald.
I love the deep ball to J.J. Nelson with trust there, and now I really like this because this is trusting Larry Fitzgerald. You're just going to throw it. You're going to turn it loose. That's pretty well covered. You've got a tight window. And again, Blaine Gabbert, I think he's going to really grow in this offense. His experience with Bruce Arians, that was a great example of trusting your guy and just turning that ball loose.
Phil Dawson, who had the game-winning kick last week, the extra point block. And the Rams smother it, so each team now has missed on an extra point. Zerline cleanly missed his. This one blocked. It's a 3-point Ram lead.
It doesn't matter whether it's punt return, kickoff return, even PAT, you better be ready to play the Rams in those situations. Going back to that touchdown, there's that window right there. And just a little bit of a stumble by Kayvon Webster. He's not able to go up and elevate and block that throwing lane. And here we got pressure right over the long snapper after the snap. And they get a big hand to knock that down.
I believe it was Tyron Walker. They just showed Larry up on the screen here, and the fans cheering one of the more popular players beyond the Valley and around the league, and still maybe a half a step ahead of Father Time at age 34. 1,200th career reception, and again his string of 207 consecutive games with a catch came earlier in this game. And Blaine Gabbert, part of this first half story, overcoming 2 interceptions and a 16-0 hole, and Arizona back to within 3. And the running of Kerwin Williams has made it happen. High kick. Josh Reynolds, there's a flag down as he goes down. I think that Michael Thomas on the return. He goes down around the 30 with the flag down. It's made.
During the return, holding number 41 of the return team. 10-yard penalty. Los Angeles' ball, first down.
That'll back the Rams up even more. Well, you talked about this Ram team handling success. It's a tough game to walk into here with the Cardinals. They have the big lead. Arizona has been able to tighten things up. How'd they do it?
Well, the great thing is playing complementary football. They have trouble at the start. They find something. They find Kerwin Williams running to the left. They get points there. Then their defense comes out, gets a stop on a very explosive Rams offense, and then the Arizona Cardinals go right back down the field. So, as we talked about earlier, there's a series of momentum shifts during the course of the game. A great job by Arizona as a team seizing that and getting back into this game.
Todd Gurley up across the 26-27 yard line. I'm amazed that the Cardinals have been able to run the ball, where he was ruled down before Matthew came up, but they've been able to run the ball successfully against this Wade Phillips defense.
And that's really been an Achilles heel. And as Adrian Peterson watches from the sideline, you get into the history of what the Rams have done this season, and the run game is the one area they struggled. So nice job by Arizona, coming back and testing that again in that second quarter.
Gurley has only run 5 times for the Rams, just short of 20 yards. He gets it again, and Gurley gets a first down and up the sideline. They'll spot him just short of the Ram 40-yard line.
And Rams right now kind of taking a page out of Arizona's approach right now. They've got a lot of weapons in the passing game. They can do a lot of great things schematically and conceptually. But Sean McVay also has the ability to control a game, control the flow of the game, running the football with Todd Gurley. Don't forget about that guy.
The Ram plan, get up throwing the football, get up in front, and then you can run with Gurley. Here to throw is Goff, and he's got Gurley alone. And Gurley is in Arizona territory down around the 40. It'll be a first down Rams, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. Cardinals at one time trailed 16-0. They've battled back. The Rams the lead, and they're on the move. The Visa halftime is coming up. The Browns try to get their first win. The Chargers at home have a 2-point lead in that one. Giants and Raiders going at it in Oakland with Eli Manning on the bench. Of all the scores and highlights and an updated playoff picture coming up on the Visa halftime. Tavon Austin in the backfield. And here comes a flag. In the meeting back in October, this is when the game got out of hand for Arizona.
Encroachment. Defense. Number 94. 5-yard penalty. It's still first down.
Yeah, it was only 6-0 with a little over 5 minutes left in the game, and then just things went south on the Cardinals. Obviously, Carson Palmer got hurt in that time, but a Gurley touchdown run of 18 yards. Then Goff had a touchdown run with just a little over 45 seconds left in the half. They have another pick, and they get a field goal. So they throw 17 up, in that last 5 minutes of that first half to kind of blow that game open.
Now on 1st and 5. Austin carries. This is what you referred to, and that 33-0 loss was the only time that a Bruce Arians Cardinal team was shut out. But this is where, right before the half, the Rams started piling up the points.
And this is why James Betcher forced his defense to watch all these runs. I thought Laura's report on that was great, and because it was about execution and passion and energy and physicality. They lost that in that 5-minute stretch, and that's really where they lost that game.
Goff, Gurley with a blocker in front.
Great job.
Is moving downfield inside the 15 of Arizona.
Great job by Roger Saffold getting out there. It's not easy for those big offensive linemen to block guys in space. You get a linebacker, makes it a little bit easier, but it's not easy. Some people say, let's just pull them out there and, they'll be fine. And it's not as easy as it looks. And watch, he's going to get on the linebacker right there, Josh Bynes, get him locked up and just take him all the way down the field.
A gain of 18. Rams have 2 timeouts, as do the Cardinals. Clock running here before halftime. Gurley down to the 5. Rams deciding here if they're going to use a timeout or not. They're letting the clock run. He did not get the first down. He's 2 yards short. 20 seconds to go. Gurley will not get the first. Well, they didn't blow the whistle yet. He's still short of the first down. And the timeout Rams with 9 seconds to play before halftime. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, the playoff picture is getting a little easier to see as the Chiefs lose to the Jets. The Falcons' hopes dim as they fall to the Vikings, while the Packers keep their playoff dreams alive with a win against the Bucs. Don't lose focus. The Visa halftime is next.
Well, Kurt, the Rams haven't lost focus. Trying to get their 9th win of the year, and I thought it was interesting when Sean McVay said, well, all we know now is that after 11 games, we're a good team. We're 8-3. We have to see how we handle this game.
They wouldn't even let you compliment them on having the potential for a winning record because they're only 8 wins right now. Like, listen, things can happen. We've seen things happen here. So not until we are on 9 wins will we accept any credit for a winning season.
Haven't had a winning season, the Rams, since 2003. 9 seconds to go on 3rd and 1 before we hit halftime here. And Goff is going to keep it and get the first down, but not the touchdown. And the Rams will have to use a timeout with just 4 seconds. I don't know if they managed the clock as well as they wanted to here.
You know what? I liked it. You'd love to have a little bit more here for one more play, but you had that timeout in your pocket so you could call that play. That's a gutsy call right there. You're trying to catch Arizona not even thinking about the opportunity of a quarterback in his own read situation.
Sean McVay. They went for it on 4th down earlier, but here it's the clock, and here comes the field goal unit. We could have used that timeout a little earlier maybe to preserve some time. Zerline had made his field goal from 56. Remember, he missed one of the extra points. Yeah, I don't think Sean McVay is happy with the way that went. The Cardinals are very happy that the Rams will just get 3 out of this if the kick is good by Zerline. For 20 yards. Yeah, he's got it. At one time a 16-0 lead. Now it's a 6-point lead at 19-13. Let's take a look at some fun from Week 12 with sounds from the field, brought to you by Walmart.com, now offering free 2-day shipping.
Back in the Coliseum.
Hey, we're riding with you guys. Let's do what we do in practice. Give me a woo if you're with me.
And woo is what Sean McVay and the Rams have been doing a lot of. What should we look for from them in the second half? We haven't seen the best of this offense that's averaging 30 points a game. Obviously, they have a 6-point lead at the break.
Well, I think we've seen good times with this offense, during the course of that first half. Maybe a little bit more consistency. The big thing, you've got to get that run defense figured out. Arizona really found something there in that second quarter to get back into this game. We talked about the response of the Rams after the loss of Minnesota and the Saints last week. You've got to respond during the course of a 60-minute game as well. Arizona did it. They responded in that second quarter. We'll see what the Rams do coming out second half.
Yeah, and with Blaine Gabbert surviving 2 early interceptions to come back and be at the controls of this underdog Arizona team.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you've found out that you can run the ball effectively, so that's going to open up some play action. You don't have to put everything in Blaine Gabbert's hands, but defensively, this Arizona team has to be ready to come out, and they're going to go in there. They're going to do their adjustments. They've been adjusting the whole time here during the course of the first half. They'll come out with a plan. That Cardinal defense, I thought they did a nice job with pressure. We'll see if they bring more.
And the Rams having to adjust without Alec Ogletree, who had an injury. We'll update that. Let's head to Los Angeles right now for the Visa halftime. Here in Arizona with Daryl Johnston, Chris Myers, and the Rams getting ready to kick off to the Cardinals to start the second half. Cardinals in their earlier meeting, they ran for 25 yards total in that game back in October. They have 100 yards rushing in the first half here. Zerline, who's got a couple of field goals. And here comes a touchback. Let's check in with Laura.
Thanks, Chris. I talked to Sean McVay. He said we have to sustain drives. We haven't been patient, and we have to settle in. We haven't settled in. I asked him what's prevented you from doing that, and he said poise. We haven't shown poise. Defensively, he wants to slow down that run. He said guys need to stay in their gaps and tackle. As for Bruce Arians, he said, I didn't like the first quarter, but boy, did I love that second quarter in that run game. We got to block more. We got to keep blocking well, got to connect and convert on third downs defensively, stop the chunk plays, and get some chunks of our own.
Thanks, Laura. Don't bury us yet was Arians' line early in the week. Wild card playoff hopes alive, and Kerwin Williams. The running game, the Cardinals are 5-0 when they rush for more than 50 yards in a game this season. And as I said, they've been able to get over 100 yards rushing against the Rams so far. Touchdown catch from Larry Fitzgerald. The Ram defense with a couple of takeaways, but missing a couple of linebackers, and the Cardinals have found something in the running game. Kerwin Williams has one 100-yard rushing game in his career. That was back in 2015. He gets the carry, brought down at the 30. It's over 90 yards today.
Well, they keep handing it to him. He's going to get it today. I don't know if he's mad about his eyes that he had a bad read on that run, but that wasn't bad by the Rams front. They're starting to add bodies. Now, that's what you have to do. You're trying to pull the Rams secondary out of coverage. You're going to force Wade Phillips to add a second guy, or down into that box, add that extra guy down into that box to try and shore up their run defense. That will open up Blaine Gabbert and the play action pass, and even the downfield pass.
DJ Foster is in at running back, 3rd and 5. Gabbert's pass is caught by Fitzgerald. He's got a first down up there at the 44-yard line.
Well, that first quarter, the reason that Bruce Arians didn't like it, that first quarter was just completely inefficient. And since that time, this offense is really starting to be more efficient. And that's moving the chain, short little routes like this to get you an extra series of downs. All started by that run game that they kind of tapped into in that second quarter.
Fitzgerald came in leading the NFC in catches, 76 for the year, and the team leader in catches. Elijah Penny is in at running back after they pick up 13 and a first down. Gabbard is going to get sacked inside the 40 of Arizona.
It's a good job by the Rams because that was play action. You had a couple of deep routes down the field, and that's what this Arizona offense likes to do. They like to take the shots. So with the success of the running game, let's do it off of a play action.
Matt Longacre with his 5th sack of the season.
Yeah, he just continues to fight through. He's coming off the edge. You've got the pulling guard right there. Gets a decent block, but he just gets right back up, continues on to the quarterback.
J.J. Nelson couldn't hold it. Knocked away Nickel Roby-Coleman once Nelson got his hands on it, and it'll bring up 3rd down. In the first half, LaMarcus Joyner had an interception, set up some points, and then Alec Ogletree grabbed an interception and returned it for a touchdown, but then went to the locker room injured. From the 39 of Arizona, 3rd down, 14. Underneath at the 40, juggling, and Jermaine Gresham eventually caught it, but it took away the opportunity to run upfield.
Well, just look at that whole series right there. You come out, you get your first down to start the second half. Your pulling guard doesn't finish his block. You give up a sack. Then you've got J.J. Nelson with a drop. Then you got Jermaine Gresham with a drop. Again, the margin for error due to the injuries on this team is very small. You cannot play that sloppy.
Andy Lee inside the 30. Pharaoh Cooper maybe headed to a Pro Bowl.
He's feeling that inside the 5.
There's a flag. Yeah, interesting. But he accepted that, returned it up to the 17-yard line with the flag at the 20. Special teams of the Cardinals have done a good job on the positioning of any returns for the Rams, whether it be punt or kickoff.
During the kick, holding by the receiving team, number 23. The penalty is half the distance from the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
The call on Nickel Roby-Coleman. Cardinals couldn't move the ball, so the Rams are on offense. Third quarter has been a high-scoring quarter for the Rams. In fact, their 72-point scoring margin is the best for any team in any quarter this year, but they're backed up inside their own 2. Works through a hole and gets all the way up near the 10-yard line. What a strong first down run.
Well, that is excellent coming off your own 1-yard line. You can see how difficult it was with their communication because they're backed up. They're right on top of that crowd. And it's just a straight ahead run. I mean, you're just rolling straight downhill. Good double team at the point, pushes it all the way back into the linebacker. Josh Bynes gets caught in the wash.
9th run from Gurley today. He's also caught 3 passes. Gurley will not get the first down. A lot of red, a sea of red. The Cardinals swarm to force LA to a 3rd and short.
I'd use that as a changeup in my run game, but I'd like to come downhill at Arizona's front a little bit more. They're pretty darn athletic. They've got some unique athletes in that second level and the secondary. I'd like to come straight at him if I was going to run the ball.
Actually lost a yard on that play. Goff suffered a first half interception already. 3rd and 3. From his own 1, incomplete. It's 4th down. Josh Reynolds was well covered by Josh Bynes.
That's a matchup that Sean McVay would probably take virtually every snap. He's got his wide receiver, young wide receiver, but wide receiver versus linebacker with lots of space to work. It's a good job by Josh Bynes to make that incomplete.
Bynes playing incredible football. The former Raven and Lion picked up almost like an afterthought, but has contributed when given the opportunity here in Arizona. Johnny Hecker from his own end zone. A booming kick. Patrick Peterson, he lets it bounce inside the 30. And it goes out of bounds. Good kick by Hecker. Rams pin them deep. Arizona on offense, trailing by 6. Rams star linebacker Alec Ogletree out with an injury here. Happened in the first half. He had the interception return, and Bryce Hager having to take his spot, take in the defensive signals. That punt of 70 yards without a return by Hecker. Cardinals at their own 21. Kerwin Williams tries to turn the corner and gets a few yards out of that.
And this is one of those plays during the course of the game that you're not going to remember, but this is a great job by Johnny Hecker. Look, he's in his end zone, line of scrimmage, 9-yard line, directional kicking. He kicks it away from Patrick Peterson. Watch Patrick Peterson trying to track this thing down. He can't do it. Ends up being a 70-yard net punt. That is tremendous ability of flipping the field by Johnny Hecker. That's awesome right there, him and Patrick Peterson.
On his way to his 4th Pro Bowl, not bad. Undrafted rookie free agent from Oregon State who has been a star for the Rams through thick and thin. Williams, it'll bring up 3rd down. You see they need to get to the 31 for a 1st down.
That's a big difference right there. That shows you the ability to control the flow of the game. And you can get into these situations, 3rd and manageable down in distances. Last time you rushed for 25 yards, I guarantee you their 3rd downs were probably 8+ the majority of the afternoon.
Well, the Arizona defense has kept them in the game, so that's why Gabbard and Arians can be patient with the ground game. Here they have to throw it on 3rd down, and Gabbard is going to be sacked inside the 20 by Aaron Donald. His 7th sack of the season.
I tell you what, he's a force, and he's so quick. He beats 2 guys.
Wow.
I mean, he beats your right guard, passes him over to the center, beats the center. That's why when Bruce Arians said the most dominant interior lineman in the league, he's not kidding. He's a tough guy to handle.
Andy Lee. Farrell Cooper at the 40. Cooper's got room down the sideline. And Cooper with a dazzling return sets the Rams up in Arizona territory. It all goes back to what you pointed out, Darrell, the punt by Hecker that flipped the field position. Cardinals couldn't get a 1st down. And the return by Farrell Cooper of 40, make that 30 yards to set the Rams up at the 8-minute mark after the Ram defense got to Gabbard. Here in Arizona, the Rams special teams on the exchange of punts. The Rams, there's a switch of 61 yards in favor of the Rams, who take over at the 30 of Arizona on 1st down. Todd Gurley straight ahead. He gets to the 25.
You know, the battle within the battle. Amos Jones for special teams for Arizona. John Fossil. Wasn't that special?
The church, boy, the church lady. That's back to the 90s when you were winning Super Bowls with the Cowboys. But Zerline should go. Nobody scored more points. Hecker, has been there 3 times to the Pro Bowl. Farrell Cooper leading. He has a kickoff return for a touchdown this year. Jake McQuaid, the long snapper, made it to the Pro Bowl last year, and John Fossil, who should probably get a look as a head coach when the interviews start happening at the end of the year, the outstanding special teams coach of this Rams team. High snap for Goff, but the throw a little high and off target. And Goff, pressure on. The Cardinals knock him to the turf.
But the Arizona Cardinal defense has done a good job with their pressure packages. And the big one here is going to be kind of coming off the side here. It's going to force him to step up. Now you've got to step up. You're stepping into that interior rush. So James Betcher's done a good job dialing up some pressures.
3rd down 6 for Goff. Looking at a field goal in the range of 44 yards if they get nothing. It's only a 6-point Ram lead. And Goff completes to Gurley, who gets the first down. Patient Jared Goff and getting it to Todd Gurley, despite Tyrann Mathieu on the coverage.
He just has so much trust in these offensive linemen keeping him clean. I think he has so much confidence in that pocket. His eyes are constantly down the field. He's just gotten so good. He's so relaxed, and as you pointed out, Chris, poised in that pocket because of the trust he has in those 5 guys up front.
He's really been outstanding on the road. The one Ram road loss came to the Vikings, but they bounced back, as you pointed out. Goff open inside the 10. Derek Carrier, a one-time Redskin who played in Sean McVay's offense in Washington, shows up with his first catch of the game, and it's 1st and goal Rams, and they hustle to the line. I think they're a little confused. You go there, I'll come here. No, you go out there.
Kind of defeats the purpose when you can't get lined up in the up-tempo.
All that, and they give it a Gurley. There's a flag down.
Wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have an illegal formation with everything that was going on pre-snap.
Illegal formation by the offense. Number 79 was not covered. That's a 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Rob Havenstein called for the infraction.
I want to go back and look at that play. They got him into this position before they did the hurry up. It's going to be a bootleg, but keep your eyes on Carrier right there, 86, getting washed down. I'm wondering why Jared Goff's waiting. Well, he's waiting for Derek Carrier to pop open there. That's a real nice play designed to take advantage of the middle of the field.
But the penalty backs him up to the 8-yard line on 1st and goal. Inside pitch to Trouble. Boy, the Cardinals were ready for that. He fakes to Gurley, and Josh Bynes was right there to get Pharoh Cooper.
Good job recognizing the potential of that play to come out of that personnel set, that formation, and for Josh Bynes to get right on the hip of Pharoh Cooper.
Yeah, they had a trick play last week where there was an option to throw the ball with Cooper Kupp. And this is an unusual looking play down here on 2nd and goal. Goff hesitates. Sammy Watkins, touchdown Rams. I don't even know if the Cardinals were ready on defense for that snap.
They got up to the line of scrimmage very quickly again, so they really challenged him with tempo there in a couple of different ways. You know, kind of getting in the huddle, sprinting to the line of scrimmage, coming right back to the line of scrimmage, coordinating your play call from there. But again, you know, Jared Goff is he's excellent in the pocket this season. I mean, excellent. That was great. Again, the confidence, you know, he just climbs up, waits for that crossing route to get to the other side of the linebacker and makes a nice throw to Sammy Watkins.
His 20th touchdown pass of the season. The Rams get closer to their season average of nearly 30 points a game as Zerline nails the extra point. And Sammy Watkins takes it in. Rams with a 3rd quarter lead. Sammy Watkins, his 6th touchdown catch of this season. And Jared Goff, who said it's really in the Sean McVay offense, it's more about concepts than volume. Hurried to the line, flipped it to Watkins, who took it in to open up the Ram lead at the just over 5-minute mark of the 3rd quarter. Foster and Golden back. A chance on the return for Britton Golden. And he is stopped short of the 18-yard line.
Yeah, so they have multiple styles of tempo during the course of the game, and here's one of them right now. You huddle up, you hurry up to the line of scrimmage, watch the defense try and sort out responsibility to make sure they've got everybody covered, and it looks like they lose Sammy Watkins right there on that shallow cross.
And Sean McVay told us that the up-tempo, he said that's what worked. That's what back at Cal and in college and when they were back at OTAs and preseason, that's what Goff felt most comfortable in. So he said, well, why not? We'll keep doing it. We just need everybody to be on the same page. And they have been. Goff having a tremendous season. As are the Rams. Gresham hangs on at the 40. And let's see, when he fell to the turf.
Have to see if he survived the ground or if that was kind of a ball that came out after.
They're rushing to try and snap it before there's a replay. And officials.
Time out on the field for an injured player.
Gresham was the one slow to get up. Let's take a look at if he caught it. Look, Sean McVay's ready to challenge this. He's waiting.
It's a great placement on the back shoulder by Blaine Gabbert. Bryce Hager has his arm in there. I don't think he ever had that football.
And McVay and the Rams are challenging.
It's not even surviving the ground here. I think it's surviving the hit right here.
And Hager doing.
Now with the ruling on the field of a completed catch. We'll review the play.
Hager is in for Ogletree, got the arm in there, and Joyner was there to help out.
So does he have possession? It really looks like Bryce Hager and he are fighting. I don't ever really see it secured right there. And then when LaMarcus Joyner comes in and puts the hit on, it kind of rolls out. So I don't know if he had the possession.
Check with our rules analyst, Dean Blandino. Dean, what do you see?
Yeah, I'm looking at the receiver. First thing you have to establish, is he going to the ground and make the catch? And he is. So now he has to survive the ground, take the football all the way to the ground, maintain control when you land. That's going to be the question here. If you watch it at full speed, it looks like when he hits the ground, the ball comes loose and that the pass should be incomplete. It's close. There may be, as you slow it down, maybe he has it when he lands on the ground and then it's pulled free. But again, watch it all in real time. It looks like the process hasn't been completed.
What takes priority, Dean? The real time when they're reviewing this or slowing it down?
Well, they're going to look at it in real time at least once because they want to get a sense of the time element. And then you start to slow it down to establish control. Is he losing the football as he goes to the ground? And again, if he's going to the ground to make the catch, he has to survive the ground. The ball came out. It's close, but to me, this looks like an incomplete pass.
All right. It looked like it was ruled a catch on the field,
yes.
And obviously thus the challenge. Dean saying, and Darryl, you agree?
I think it's Bryce Hager here, too. Watch that arm. Yeah, he's got his arm inside there. You can see him fighting right there. So, in my opinion, it looked like it was coming out even prior to LaMarcus Joyner coming in and putting the hit on.
And so, Dean, ultimately, it's the call in New York, right? They're making the decision.
And the only thing that would let this stand is if they say he had it when he landed and then the ball was knocked out as a second act by the defender. And that would be the only way that this would stand. It's close. And again, I think it's incomplete, but I wouldn't be surprised if they let it stand based on that aspect.
Sounds like he's hedging again, Chris.
Some referees will tell you, they say, I got to let the coach know that New York has the final call, so don't yell at me if you don't like it.
Exactly. And Moose, I heard you talk about hedging. I learned that from Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira's a hedger.
Very savvy, Dean. Very savvy.
Ron Torbert has had the look with Alberto Riveron in New York.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field has changed. The receiver did not maintain control of the ball when he first made contact with the ground. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be Arizona's ball, 2nd and 10 on the 18-yard line. Los Angeles is not charged with a timeout. Please set the game clock to 4 minutes, 52 seconds, please. 4:52. Thank you.
All right, and Dean, thank you. Accurate as always, so the 21-yard gain off the board. And Sean McVay, who was 0 for 2 in his career, the 31-year-old head coach, gets his first challenge correct as a head coach in the NFL. Foster the back. He gets the football and gets up across the 20. This weekend, NFL players lacing up and letting their cleats do the talking. Part of My Cause, My Cleats. Players re-supporting charitable causes that are important to them through cleats that are custom designed and inspired by their causes. You can discover the stories behind the cleats and bid on select players' special edition cleats. Go to NFL.com/MyCause.MyCleats. A great cause and something that players take a lot of pride in. Gabbard's throw. Fitzgerald has the first down catch at the 34 of Arizona.
I think he's getting better and better week to week, from Houston to Jacksonville to today against the Rams. I think Blaine Gabbert is really improving, and I think his time spent here with Bruce Arians will pay dividends down the road. He's just getting very comfortable. He's trusting his progressions. He's turning the ball loose.
And nearing the 100-yard passing mark, he's got a touchdown to go with those first half interceptions. Fitzgerald hauled in the touchdown pass. Gabbard, catch made. That's Troy Nicholas. And there's a flag down back at the 26-yard line.
Sometimes it's not the sacks with Aaron Donald. Sometimes it's the penalties he creates.
Offense number 75. 10-yard penalty. He plays first down.
I mean, that's a huge penalty right there on Alex Boone, and I'm sure it looks like it was Aaron Donald that generated that.
That's a good point, Darrell. There isn't a real true statistic for that, but when a guy gets double teamed or creates penalties. Meanwhile, Larry Fitzgerald on the catch previously, not the one that was just negated to the tight end Troy Nicholas, but he moves up to 4th on the all-time receiving yardage list in the great careers of players like Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. And Larry's not done yet. Has a contract for next year. Kind of coy about coming back to play. There's a lot of factors with the head coach and the quarterback. Nice quick pass by Gabbard. And Gresham knocked down around the 36-yard line. Laura.
Chris, I want to go back to those great causes you were talking about. Robert Quinn's shoes and story, pretty incredible. His cause is the National Brain Tumor Society. Robert had a brain tumor in high school. Before surgery, he was told you won't make it out of the hospital. Then he heard you'll never play football again. Andrew Whitworth told me teammates constantly ask each other, what's your why? Why do you play football? Today we are seeing so many amazing whys all over the field. Robert just being one beautiful one.
And Laura, number 94, really proud of what he was able to work through. Gabbard for Fitzgerald, who makes the catch inside the 45 of the Rams. You know, not only is Gabbard getting better, I think Larry is getting better. It's hard to say for him.
Yeah, right, getting better.
He's already a Hall of Famer.
I don't know when he's ever slowed down. It's amazing. Just a little deep over route right there. And again, you know, it's good location by Blaine Gabbert.
6 catches, over 60 yards for Larry Fitzgerald, who's had big games over the years against the Rams. And here comes a flag. That was a pickup of 20.
Ball start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Let's check in with Kurt Menefee. Kurt?
Well, stop me if you've seen this before. Alvin Kamara, this is his 9th touchdown in the last 6 games. He scored at least 1 in each. And so far today, he's got 105 total yards and 2 scores. Saints on top of the Panthers, ready to start the 4th quarter. Chris, Moose, Laura.
All right, thank you, Kurt. And there's a look at the NFC South with the winner of that game standing alone atop that division. Kerwin Williams in motion as a receiver. J.J. Nelson with the catch and puts on the Jets to get inside the 35 of the Rams. See how close he got to a first down.
Looks like a little bit of a bust in coverage right there on J.J. Nelson, because not really a defender in the area. Tremaine Johnson way off in coverage.
That's a gain of 16 yards. And a Cardinals.
It is a first down, spotted at the 32 of Los Angeles.
Turn it.
Gabbert hangs out of the football. Hasn't been touched yet. Now he's down. Coming away from the snap.
Somebody probably stepped on his foot. One of the guards stepping down. Probably stepped on top of Blaine's foot as he was trying to come out from underneath center.
Second and 14.
Yeah, there you go. Alex Boone stepping down with his right foot. Right there, gets on top of Blaine Gabbert's foot. Trips him up.
Third quarter. 15 seconds and counting. Gabbert's throw for Nelson. Knocked incomplete. He may have been out of bounds anyway, but Joyner with another big play.
Yeah, LaMarcus Joyner wasn't even going to give him an attempt at getting those feet down. Good range from the safety position. Working at the bottom of the screen, trying to drop this in between the cornerback and the safety. I think he's going to make that catch if LaMarcus Joyner doesn't come over and put the hit on him, Chris.
Great effort by both Nelson and Joyner. Third down at 14 from the 36 of the Rams. As the third quarter's winding down, Nelson middle of the field and incomplete. Throw a little high. John Johnson was back there. It's the end of 3. Looks like we have an injured Ram. We will check on that. The Rams with a 26-13 lead over the Cardinals. Start of the fourth quarter, Bruce Arians is sending his field goal kicker, 42-year-old Phil Dawson, out there. Looks like he's going to try a 54-yard field goal. He hit a 57-yarder to win it last week. That was the longest of his career.
With plenty to spare. I mean, there was a lot left on that 57-yarder, and he said, just, don't overdo it. It's hard for these guys. You get one of these long kicks, and Phil talked about, I just wanted to hit it smooth. We'll see if he can do it again this week.
And if he makes it, then it's just a 10-point game. Phil Dawson from 54, and up and through. He got it. Boy, we were seeing some veterans play like youngsters, from Fitzgerald to Dawson.
And great special teams on both sides. We talked about John Fossil and his group. That's huge right there for Amos Jones and his guys for the Arizona Cardinals, because last year was a disaster special teams wise for Arizona. And when they brought in Andy Lee and they brought in Phil Dawson to get some veteran guys in there, the start of the year was not that great, but they've really kind of shored it up here the last few weeks and finally starting to play to the level that Bruce Arians expected him to when they brought him in.
It is 19th season. Another 50-plus yarder for Phil Dawson. It's a good way to start the fourth quarter for the Cardinals, who hung in there with the favored Rams. Dawson to kick off. We will update later, too, the Rams' injury to John Johnson on defense. An onside, kind of a pooch kick, hoping for a Ram mistake, and it's quickly covered, and the Rams will take over. Matt Longacre, defensive lineman and pass rushing specialist, gathered that in.
Well, I like it. I mean, don't take a chance. Farrell Cooper's leading the NFL in kickoff return right now, and there's John Fossil, your special teams coach, that's put together a heck of a unit here in St. Louis. So this has been fun for me. I was an old special teams guy. It's been fun watching the different dynamic here during the course of the game.
John Harbaugh went from a special teams coach to a head coach, and he's had success in Baltimore. They're congratulating Longacre. But Fossil took over last year when the firing of Jeff Fisher took place and kind of held the team together. And he was the one holdover on the staff. Sean McVay wanted him. And he's a right-hand man for this Ram team. As Goff has the ball knocked out, and it looks like the Rams got it back. But what a pass rush. Whitworth was on the loose football after Chandler Jones knocked it out of Goff's hand.
This is one of those battles. We touched on it early in the game, and Chandler Jones was leading the NFL at 55 out here on the outside, going against Big Andrew Whitworth right here, and it's the hands. You see the hands right there. He breaks the hands, gets the upfield shoulder secured, and right to the quarterback.
His brother John, of course, the mixed martial arts specialist, and those quick hands, combative hands, helping him with a pass rush. Todd Gurley flagged down. He goes down across the 20.
Illegal shift by the offense. All 11 players were not set for a second before the snap. That's a 5-yard penalty.
Carlos Dansby wants to decline it.
To decline that penalty to be third down.
And the right move to decline because the Cardinals were there. Now 3rd and 14.
I'll take 3rd and 14 over 2nd and 19 against this offense without a doubt. Let's see if they can convert on a 3rd down from long distance.
Screen, they tried to set it up. Tyrann Mathieu was there right away on Todd Gurley. That didn't have a chance. It was done from the start.
Yeah, some of those unique guys down there, they've got these unique athletes in that secondary level, linebacker level. Good job by Tyrann Mathieu sniffing out that screen.
Patrick Peterson.
A major stand by the Cardinal defense. Patrick Peterson looking over to the sideline, waving his arms over something. Remember, things turned in the 3rd quarter on a 70-yard punt from Hecker. This one will fall short. Peterson takes it by the sideline. Chandler Jones put the heat on Goff, and now the Cardinals, trailing by 10, have the football. Does Blaine Gabbert have a 4th quarter comeback in him? And Kerwin Williams, first 11 games, he had 69 yards total on the ground. He's got 96 today.
And he's got some banged up ribs too, so showing his toughness out there.
Fitzgerald leads all receivers with 6 catches as Williams is eventually brought down. The Rams do have John Johnson and LaMarcus Joyner back in that secondary. They ran into each other on the previous Cardinal offensive series. Nearing the 12.5-minute mark. Gabbert, who turned 28 years old in October, 7th year, former first-rounder from Jacksonville, had the emotional win last week with the help of Dawson against the Jags, overcoming a couple of first-half interceptions, and talked about how in his first year in Arizona, this Cardinal system is more quarterback-driven, the playbook, than most. And floating one for Chad Williams, and incomplete.
We talked about Ricky Seals-Jones as being one of those guys that worked with Blaine Gabbert through the first part of the season on the scout team. And that's the other part right there. Chad Williams, a wide receiver. So there is some trust. There is some chemistry there between Blaine Gabbert and Chad Williams, giving him a shot down the field.
Williams, the 3rd-round draft choice from Grambling, playing behind Fitzgerald and Nelson. John Brown inactive with a toe injury.
Mike 5-4. Hey, we're here. Let's go.
On 3rd and 9, Gabbert from the pocket, and the catch is made. Ricky Seals-Jones inside the Rams 30. The cousin of Eric Dickerson with a big conversion on 3rd down.
There's number 86, tight end, converted wide receiver from college, really starting to find his stride. And I think the big thing is because he's a willing blocker at the end of the line of scrimmage. And some of these kind of transformations from big college wide receiver to NFL tight end type, they don't want to get in there and mix it up with those big defensive ends. But Ricky Seals-Jones has no problem doing it, and that's going to pay big dividends for him in the passing game.
His son Roderick, born on Wednesday, a busy week. Congratulations to the family. After a gain of 27 yards, Gabbert for the end zone, and just does overthrow, Seals Jones, who was open.
Maybe wanted to get that one a little bit sooner because John Johnson at the safety position was going to close on that. I don't know if the timing would have allowed it to be thrown a bit earlier, but watch this. This is going to be the wheel route. You're going to go to the outside, and then you're going to get upfield vertically again, a little wiggle. If you could have gotten it in there. But a good location by Blaine Gabbert, so nobody can make the catch if Ricky Seals Jones can.
Gabbert for Nelson. He wasn't looking. And Gabbert had to maybe get rid of that a little earlier than he planned.
I've been impressed with him, though, because, one of the knocks on Blaine Gabbert is he's gone from Jacksonville to San Francisco, kind of bounced around, had a ton of coordinators. He'd get into these systems, and he was kind of a visual quarterback that needed to see the separation. And it's hard at the NFL level to get that separation, and that's what I've seen the most from him is his trusting his wide receivers, giving them opportunities when it looks covered, turning the ball loose, trusting them to go get it into the open spaces.
Yeah, he kind of admitted after the pressure of being a first rounder that at this stage of his career, got to relax, get back there and do the schoolyard thing, throw the ball around, and he's going to use a timeout here. Cardinals will have 2 remaining. Now this message from Lowe's. Cardinals trying to get their record to 500. The Rams trying to get their 9th win and ensure the first winning season for the Rams since 2003. Leaders of the NFC West with Seattle and the Eagles tangling later. Third down, Gabbert. Low and incomplete. Foster was the target. It's 4th down. And here comes Phil Dawson, who hit from 54 a moment ago.
I think the other area you're seeing, he's starting to develop some trust with this offensive line. Watch Blaine Gabbert in the pocket right here. It's kind of breaking down a little bit. He's got Ram defenders around him, and upset right there that he didn't give DJ Foster a better chance at that catch.
Saw a Ram defender get a hand on his jersey. All right, this will be a 45-yard field goal try to get Arizona within 7. It's blocked, and the Rams have a chance on the return. Corey Littleton has the football, not exactly sure. It looked like maybe Brockers is the one who got the hand up to block Dawson's field goal try.
Again, John Fossil and his group, they just make game-changing plays.
It's a third of the game. Fossil also is with Sean McVay, helps with replay challenges, which they were effective today. Certain usage of the clock and timeouts as McVay calls the plays as the head coach. So special teams coach as well as kind of an assistant to the boss.
Yeah, it's Michael Brockers right over the top. Great timing on his jump.
And
big left hand.
The second block. There's Joe Barry, assistant head coach, who was in Washington with Sean McVay. Yeah, they blocked an extra point as well.
Right.
So don't forget that. The Rams have a lock on the special teams domination. They have 4 going to the Pro Bowl. Todd Gurley. That was a big, because now it's still a 2-score
exactly.
game. Right?
And it's got to be something that John Fossil saw during his preparation from this game. It's a technique thing. It's a guy who's a little bit sloppy, a little bit lazy from time to time in the protection. And those are the guys you're looking for as you break down that film. So there's something inside that he felt comfortable about, getting Michael Brockers on that, getting a push with his size and his length inside.
Second and 11, Goff with the screen to Gurley. Lots of daylight. He's got a lot of room to run. He's inside the 40 of Arizona, and Gurley's taken off. Inside the 25 before Buda Baker ran him down.
Great anticipation on the play call, knowing perhaps a tendency of James Betcher in that down and distance. Watch the blitz come. Off the offensive left side, here they all come, and you've got the perfect play called. A little screen to Todd Gurley. There's nobody out there when he catches the ball and starts down the sideline.
A gain of 34 yards, and that's where Sean McVay, he's used Gurley as a receiver so much this year. He's thought of as kind of a savant, a brainiac play caller. Jokes, I have no life because I'm always designing plays and thinking about football at age 31. And what a call there as Austin gets the football, and Tavon Austin works down to the 21. I heard him use the term when we sat with him yesterday, Sean McVay, shared ownership, talking about coaches and players. It just kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah, that's when you go to the players for suggestions. They've got great veteran players on this team now. The addition of Andrew Whitworth and John Sullivan and Connor Barwin, to be able to go to them and ask for their opinion with scheduling, practice style, game planning, all these different things, and it creates conversation, and you get that shared ownership of what you're trying to do. You don't just feel like it's the coaches dictating to you, but you're actually a part of everything that's going on within the organization.
It relates well to his veteran coaches on the staff and the players. And that's Pharoh Cooper on an inside handoff. And he slips a tackle and fights to get near the first down. See where they spot it. Right at. That looks good enough as you saw the official signal. First down. Cooper fighting 3 yards.
And this is one of those areas. I mean, Sean McVay told us, I wasn't real familiar with the jet schemes in the NFL. We didn't really run a lot of that. Well, here's a jet scheme right here. But because he has Pharoh Cooper and because he has Tavon Austin, he needs to implement the jet scheme into his offense. So here's a guy that's just willing to look at your team and go, wow, I've got some pretty unique guys here. Hey, this is something I've never really done before, but boy, they're pretty good at it. And let me adjust my offense to accommodate their skill set.
First down at the 15, chewing up the clock, protecting the lead of 10. Todd Gurley to the 12. Gurley said he likes the no huddle. He said it feels like I'm back in the college game, the pace of it. And he also said this year, Darryl, for as much as he's carried the load, I do feel fresher and quicker the way I've been used.
And that'll be one of the things that Sean McVay will watch as this season goes on, to make sure that he does stay healthy. They're going to get into the playoffs. There's no way this team is melting down to the point where they don't get into the playoffs. So you're going to need Todd Gurley to be as healthy as he possibly can be.
Goff. And there's Cooper Kupp. What a catch. Short of the first down. And Kupp's, makes outstanding grabs. He works out with us. Some guys do tennis balls, but he was telling us in practice it's the fingers on the tennis ball for the grip that helps him grip the football.
Don't let it hit your palm. Catch it out on your tips. Don't let it get to your palms. He does everything, always looking for that extra advantage, wants to know the why of the plays. He understands the whole concept that Sean McVay has put in, not just his role in that concept.
That's why he goes in after receiver meetings. He goes into the quarterback meetings. Todd Gurley. Stop short of the first down. Both Bethea and Matthew came up from the safety spot there to make sure Gurley didn't get the first.
And they got to do everything they possibly can to force a field goal attempt here.
And now on fourth, they went for it earlier in the game on fourth down. You've got a 10-point lead. And Fossil coordinating with McVay. It looks like they're going to, with Zerline, going to call a timeout maybe, or no? They're going to leave the. Well, he's deciding. Yeah. He's as indecisive as I am trying to call this. I think Sean kind of knows what he's going to do. There's the timeout. On 4th and 1, McVay will think about it. And you talked about the playoffs, that you think the Rams are in, and Ram fans will love to hear that because it's been a while. But look at the next week, Carson Wentz, the Rams, it was close when they drafted Jared Goff ahead of Carson Wentz. That was a decision they had to make. Those two will face off, and look what they've done in their second seasons to turn their teams around.
Yeah, and a big win by Minnesota today over Atlanta, trying to move up into that playoff picture because they already hold the tiebreaker with the Rams because of the victory a couple weeks ago. So now basically that's a 2-game lead there. This is going to be fun to watch. Huge game tonight with Philadelphia and Seattle.
And if you measure the Rams at McVay, they lost at Minnesota. When you look at division leaders, they beat the Saints in Los Angeles, and he decided to go with Zerline, and they'll get a chance at the Eagles next Sunday on Fox at the Coliseum to expand the lead. This will be a 24-yard attempt, and Zerline nails it. So the Rams hit the 29-point mark with 6:18 to go. Greg Zuerlein with another field goal, and you can see chasing the single season mark in Ram history. By the way, you like the blue and white helmets, right? I mean,
I do like the throwback.
Much nice to have that.
Absolutely.
Fan. I know the Ram fans are happy to see that back. Seeing some of the names of the past. Should be a short kick, and on the return is Golden. And Britton Golden knocked back before he could get to the 19. Interesting, down on the field moments ago, the decision to go for it on kick the field goal rather than go for it. Laura Oakman telling us that even John Fossil, the special teams coach, thought that they were going for the first down instead of the field goal.
And that was the conversation. There was a little indecision here before the timeout when Coach McVay and Coach Fossil were talking. Coach Fossil turned around to his special teams unit and said, "We're going for it." That was before he called the timeout.
Yeah, it was weird. I thought once they called the timeout, they didn't have the play ready. They're going to get over there, get the good play, because it's a two-possession game at 29-16, or if they stuff you on fourth down at 26-16. It's still, you still got to do the same thing. So he's an aggressive play caller. I was surprised.
Yeah, he was aggressive in the first half going on fourth down.
Oh, good vision to see Robert Quinn coming behind.
And Robert Quinn with a big play on Gabbard.
Yeah, just one of those plays that bust from the beginning. You bobble the quarterback center exchange. That's, gosh, he's gotten stepped on coming off a center. Now we got a bad snap right here, and he never really gets it. He picks it up, but this is good. Watch him check behind right there. Oh, that is Robert Quinn coming. Let me make sure I don't have a fumble here in the pocket.
And now 4.5 sacks this season for Robert Quinn. And Laura talked about his cleats and the brain tumor and the surgery when they said he wouldn't play again, maybe not even survive it. And here it is all these years later from high school to the NFL. He's the one who said, too, about this defensive change with Wade Phillips, because he was here through the struggling years with the Rams. As Gabbard gets knocked down again, that the defense is complicated, but Wade Phillips makes it easy.
Yeah, he does. And it's trying to get that guy right there into the best position to have a one-on-one. And that's Wade's biggest challenge every week, because Aaron Donald is so good inside. It's easy to double-team guys inside. So he's trying to come up with fronts and different things to allow Aaron Donald to get to a one-on-one spot. But we've already seen him beat guys in a two-on-one situation, and he just continually works upfield.
Aaron Donald, since 2015, no player has more hits on a quarterback than Donald. Three-time Pro Bowler for the Rams. Third down. Gabbard's pass complete, but tackled right away. Wade Phillips as defensive coordinator and actually ruled incomplete. He didn't hold on once he got hit. The last 6 times that he took over as defensive coordinator, that first year, that team went to the playoffs. People thought that might come to an end with this Ram team, but he's ready to go 7 in a row.
Yeah, I remember reading this early in the season, maybe even before the season started, and that was the reaction. Well, that's going to end this year. There's no way the Rams are making that jump from where they were last year to the playoffs this year. Oh, yeah?
Defense has improved every week, giving up 18 points a game coming into this. They've only allowed 16 so far. Farrell Cooper spinning across the 45-yard line on the punt return. In the Valley of the Sun, the Rams have things under control in the NFC West for the moment. Michael Bidwell, president of the Cardinals, general manager Steve Keim. There was talk back when Bruce Arians was having some health issues and weren't sure about his future, and it's still a little bit up in the air, even though he has a contract for next year, that Steve Keim was interested in hiring Sean McVay from the Redskins before the Rams were able to interview him and make the move. Goff. Watkins, first down at the 40.
They're just so aggressive on first down. Kind of comes back to something I always remember Peyton Manning telling me. He asked him about third down stuff. He goes, well, one of the big things is we don't really wait until third down to get a first down. Why not get a first down on first down or a first down on second down? And that's kind of the mentality that this offense has. We're not going to wait second down, third down to convert. Let's convert on the first play of the series.
Watkins had a touchdown catch in the first half. One of 2 thrown by Jared Goff. Todd Gurley inside the 35. Let's check in again with Kurt Menefee.
Less than 2.5 minutes to go. Raiders lead the Giants by 10. Derek Carr hooking up with Johnny Holden on the 9-yard score. They lead at 24-14. If this holds up, the Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders all would be 6-6, tied for the lead in the AFC West. Chris?
And I think the best team out of those three right now is the Chargers. I would be worried more about the Chargers than the Chiefs, who got off to a great start. The Oakland Raiders, who have kind of steadied the ship here in the last couple of weeks. We saw that Chargers team a couple of weeks ago. They're impressive.
Yeah, what a difference the way they're headed and the way Kansas City has gone. Goff completing to Cooper Kupp for a first down. He stayed in bounds. And the development of Jared Goff under Sean McVay has been so dramatic. Over 220 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He did suffer the interception. That was when Kareem Martin made a nice leaping grab.
That was an awesome play by Kareem Martin. So we'll let that one go because everything else he did has been outstanding. I really like him in the pocket. I think he's very comfortable the way this offensive line protects him, and you can see that how he plays.
You know, the late great sports writer Jim Murray wrote about Joe Montana, who wore 16. You know, he said he's as cool as the other side of the pillow. That was his line many years ago. And Goff.
Start. Offense, number 89. 5-yard penalty. First down.
It's on Higbee. Goff has that kind of California cool about him. Even some of the coaches said at first we were like, how competitive is this guy? He's like a flatliner. But then when you see how he works and you get to know him, you certainly respect how he keeps his competitiveness under control.
Yeah, and Andrew Whitworth said the same thing. You know, and a lot of coaches will talk about that. Whether it's your unit, offense, defense, special teams, the individual players, you never want to get on that emotional roller coaster. That was one of the things that Jimmy Johnson tried to guard against us doing. He wanted us to have a steady improvement during the course of the season, not have those highs and lows, and that's naturally wired to Jared Goff.
Todd Gurley carries. Clock continues to run, and a timeout. Let's check in with Laura.
Continuing talking about Jared, and Daryl, we always talk about with those young quarterbacks the what and the why, that difference. What am I calling? And when they get to that next layer of why am I calling it? That's what Jared said since we've seen him week 4 against Dallas. He said the biggest thing he was working on was his depth in the pocket, learning to trust Andrew Whitworth 13 years, not the ghost of past footsteps in his head from last year. I asked him how he thought he was doing. He said, I don't drift anymore. There were 3-4 games I didn't hit the ground once. You better believe that taught me to trust my left tackle.
Absolutely, and I think it was real evident in Minnesota. You know, that front is extremely aggressive, very talented, and I was really impressed with his poise in the pocket as things started to break down, and I think we saw some of that this afternoon as well.
And the Rams told us, and we did that Cowboy game, the second half, and of course we didn't know what Dallas would be at the time, but that's when things really clicked and came together. But there was an inkling before that as Todd Gurley carries into a crowd.
Yeah, it kind of one of those unusual ones, that second half of the Washington Redskins game. That week 1 when they played the Indianapolis Colts, and the Colts kind of handed them the game. There were so many mistakes. It was just a perfect game for them. The second week, there's a lot of adversity. They go down 13-0 quick, and all of a sudden, here's this young team in transition, and Andrew Whitworth is like, I was so impressed how nobody panicked, how everybody hung in there and battled back. And at the end, I told Jared Goff, if you can get to the point in the game where you've got the ball in your hand on the last series with an opportunity to win, that's all we can ask for. And they fought their way back into the game and were able to do that. So, yeah, we thought Dallas has a lot of positives, but you always find things when there's some adversity and there's growth during those challenging times.
Andrew Whitworth, a veteran who Goff leans on, but so does Sean McVay. And he had a choice to left tackle, a hot position of places to go. And when he did his research on McVay, he said nobody said a bad thing about him. I love this play calling. This is where I wanted to be. Todd Gurley on 3rd and 11. Will just keep it on the ground, and he keeps pounding away.
But again, you mentioned they hit on their draft. They did a great job in free agency in this year under Sean McVay. The talent that they brought in via the draft, but the leadership that they brought in via free agency with Whitworth and Sullivan and Barwin, you know, that's instrumental. And that's where that shared ownership that Sean McVay talks about happens, is when you got those great veterans.
And give Les Snead some credit for the draft along with his staff, Kevin Demoff, the young guys, Cooper Kupp and Josh Reynolds, John Johnson. And the veterans that you talked about, you got to hit in free agency and work with your draft picks. And all those who questioned how quickly when Goff was drafted #1 overall last year, different story this year. 2-minute mark, Rams moving closer to guaranteeing a winning season. Jared Goff enjoying La La Land in his second year here in Arizona. He does look a little like Ryan Gosling.
Got a little bit of look there, yeah.
2 minutes away from
Can he dance like him?
the Rams celebration dance. Greg Zuerlein lining up for another field goal try, adding to the league lead in points. 41 yards away with Hecker, his punter, the holder. He's got it, and the Rams have 32 on the board. So 2003 was their last winning season, but what about last time the Rams made the playoffs, 2004? Sean McVay was playing wide receiver at Miami University of Ohio. Kurt Warner, not the Rams, he was playing for the Giants. Cardinals were playing their home games at Tempe at Sun Devil Stadium, and the Rams then in St. Louis made the playoffs at 8-8 as a wild card. And the road ahead, some tough ones coming up. You got that Carson Wentz, Jared Goff matchup on Fox with the Eagles and Rams next week. Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, Aaron Andrews on the call, and the Seattle showdown. Seahawks have to keep winning to make that count for the division.
Absolutely, and at Seattle is always a different venue. The Titans should be in the thick of the AFC playoff hunt right there, with possibly a divisional championship within their reach with the changing of the guard in the AFC South with Jacksonville and Tennessee. So the three of the four games there, and you never sleep on a divisional opponent. San Francisco went up, knocked off Chicago today, so they got Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, and you never overlook anybody.
The kick rolls into the end zone, and wisely they'll down it. And Gabbard, the offense, out to the 25-yard line. So the playoff picture at the moment. Rams on their way to their 9th win. Saints in control of that game. They're up 10 with 2 minutes to play at home against the Panthers, and there is going to be a scramble for that wild card. That's why this loss for the Cardinals here, this holds up, will pretty much take them out of the picture.
Yeah, and a big win by the Dallas Cowboys Thursday night. That was a must win for them. A big win by the Green Bay Packers today in overtime. A must win to keep pace, hoping to get Aaron Rodgers back at some point at the end of the season.
Rams handling success. It was something Sean McVay had on his mind as Fitzgerald just keeps on fighting. It's up to the 35 near a Cardinal first down. Cardinals out of timeouts. They used them a moment ago when the Rams had that unique usage of the clock.
It's a 4-minute style offense, but it's not traditional by any sense.
Gabbard to Fitzgerald again. Cardinals have the Titans up next, and they play at Washington, home with the Giants, and then finish the regular season up in Seattle. It's good enough for a first down. Larry Fitzgerald with 9 catches, nearing the 90-yard reception mark, and a touchdown catch in the first half. Gabbard escapes. Will run to the sideline and stop the clock.
And again, that element was just not there earlier this season when Carson Palmer was playing quarterback. A little bit more with Drew Stanton, but Blaine Gabbert really brings that escapability factor. And this offensive line, it's been a tough year for the Arizona Cardinals with all the changeups and that starting 5 up front. So that element for Bruce Arians has really been beneficial the last couple of weeks.
3 different quarterbacks starting. 3 different running backs starting, and what an effort from Kerwin Williams today, just short of 100 yards in place of the injured Adrian Peterson. Gabbard will not escape this time, thrown down at the 49 by Robert Quinn, his 2nd sack of the day.
And Michael Brocker is coming from the defensive left end position, and one of those things that Wade Phillips told us about. We had Michael Brockers down inside. I found out he was better on the edge, and I'll get Ethan Westbrook, and I brought him inside and put him at nose, and he's done really well there. So this defense should just get better as the year goes on, and Wade Phillips learns more and more about his roster.
10th catch of the game for Larry Fitzgerald. Clock running here. Foster. Gabbert's over 200 yards passing, but that's it. The Ram defense closes out the Cardinals. Jared Goff with a couple of touchdown passes. Blaine Gabbert suffering some first half interceptions. And the Rams guarantee their first winning season since 2003. Young Sean McVay gets them to their 9th win. And what a matchup next week on Fox. Leaders of the East, leaders of the West. Carson Wentz and Goff will face off on Fox. And we'll have more from Arizona in just a moment.